Hey guys, welcome. It's your boy Ren City again, doing our NFL thing. Coming up to Week 11, the Week 11 picks. You might have just watched the Week 10 recap. You're all caught up. If not, well, we're going to get you ready for Week 11. The 11th week of the NFL season. When you say the 11th week, it's usually the NFL, or it could be something a villain saying to a character in Stranger Things. But either way, you saw the recap, you're ready for the predictions. Let's revisit the picks real quick from last week. Week 10, how'd you do? Not so good. 8-6. That's disastrous. Almost 500. One of my worst weeks of the season thus far in doing this. What did I get wrong? Well, I picked the Giants over the Panthers in Germany. 9. I picked the Bears over the Patriots. Yikes. Bucks over 49ers. That one was close. Falcons over Saints. I don't think anyone saw the plug toilet coming to the win for the Saints. I thought the Jets had something going, but they went to the desert and flopped. And the Rams, I thought they'd beat the Dolphins, but instead the Dolphins swam the victory. So that's the list of the teams that let me down. It's all uphill from there, though, starting tonight. Juicy Thursday night football matchup. Back-to-back weeks, we get a tasty bout, and this is another divisional one, this time from two teams in the top of the NFC East. The 7-3 Washington Commanders. They'll be in the city of brotherly love to take on the 7-2 division-leading Philadelphia Eagles. The Commanders had that 3-game winning streak ruined by a tough loss to the AFC North leading Pittsburgh Steelers, and they're looking to bounce back in a big way. Number 2 overall pick, Jaden Daniels. He and the Washington Commanders have been really one of the darlings of the league, a franchise that under previous ownership wasn't well liked by a lot of people, including the employees or a lot of the fan base, but new ownerships brought new coaches, new culture. Excuse me. We got head coach Dan Quinn doing his thing, offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury, defensive coordinator Joe Witt Jr. What they're doing for this team's amazing. Plus, they're getting running back Ryan Robinson Jr. back. That's huge. He's missed the last few games with a hamstring injury, and he's itching to get back on the field. I mean, the Commanders have been doing pretty well with Austin Eckler and Jamie McNichols running in touchdowns for them, but Robinson Jr. brings a whole different level of physicality to the running back position that's been missing. And despite saying all that, I still think many are favoring the Philadelphia Eagles in this one. They've been lights out since losing to Tampa Bay before their bye week. They won 5 games in a row now, and they've been doing it in a variety of ways. And there's been some questionable coaching decisions and some rightfully so criticisms on head coach Nick Sirianni, but the main thing are the Eagles are winning, and better to do this now than in the playoffs. But Jalen Hurts, he's been one of the best dual-threat quarterbacks in the league. The tush push seems to be working again. It was a little rusty after Kelsey retired, but the push is tushing again. Or I guess you got me. But with all Hurts does, this team performance is really dictated by what Saquon Barkley can do. When he's rolling, everything is so much easier for Hurts. He's finding all his receivers. Goddard's back. He's finding him. This game could be a shootout, and it could be which defense makes the bigger fourth quarter play. And I think the future is now. Jaden Daniels, man, he's something else to watch. I see him getting to the end zone late. I see Nick Sirianni making a questionable decision that's going to cause this team. I see Washington leaving Philadelphia with the NFC East Division lead. Commanders will secure the road win and become the first NFC East team to reach 8 wins this season. That'll bring us to Sunday. You have an interesting matchup of 2 AFC East teams that have dealt with a little bit of madness this season that expect to have better records than they do. You have the Raiders visiting the Dolphins. The 3-6 Miami Dolphins, despite that record, look to be moving on up. They ended the Los Angeles Rams winning streak and were able to keep their postseason hopes alive with the win. Tua Tagovailoa even took a hit to the head, and he stayed in the game. Playmakers got a little more. We saw Tyreek Hill score a touchdown catch. First time he had done that in a while. And this time, Mike McDaniel and his offense seemed to get back clicking on all cylinders. And there's a lot of pressure on this squad as they've been getting healthier. But the 2-7 Las Vegas Raiders, they're carrying an element of surprise coming off that bye week after their 5th loss in a row, losing to the Bengals by 17. And head coach Antonio Pierce said, let's shake it up. Offensive coordinator Luke Getsy gone after 9 weeks of running the offense. Fellow first year with the club coaches, you had offensive line James Craig, quarterback coach Rich Scangarello, all gone. So now you get a name familiar with NFL offenses over the years, and that's Turner, you get Scott Turner coming in, son of longtime NFL coach and coordinator Norv Turner. He's taking over the playing duties now for the Raiders, and the change in coaching could help maybe Gardner Minshew, who is named the starter, help him turn his season around. Since signing with Vegas, he's had a disastrous season, and we'll see maybe the new offensive calls will help Minshew. But as I mentioned earlier, these Dolphins, they're rolling right now, and I see them taking the win at home. The first half may stay close, but I see the Dolphins outswimming the Raiders to victory in the second half. And look out for Miami as they secure their second win in a row and hoping to get back in that playoff picture. So that's a ways to go to get back there, but they got the talent. They can do it. For Vegas, chalk it up as another loss. You have an interconference matchup featuring two teams having disappointing seasons, although each team has a little optimism going for them. The Cleveland Browns head to the Bayou to take on the New Orleans Saints. 2-7 Browns are coming off a bye week. 2 weeks before the bye week, Jameis Winston and the Browns pulled off that magical win over the Baltimore Ravens. Only put up a stinker against the Chargers before their bye week. Jameis is still running the show. I think with some reps as a starter, Winston and the offense should look better. Each week, Nick Chubb is getting more reps and getting healthier. It's good to see him back on the field. Young wide receivers, their time to shine. It's time for Winston to find them. The key to the Browns winning this game is, will Winston turn the ball over? We know once he gives one interception, he starts handing them out. The 3-7 Saints, they're coming off that rare win this season. New interim head coach Darren Rizzi, alluded to earlier, clogged a toilet on his way to helping the Saints end their 7-game losing streak. Tradition that's going to punish porcelain leading up to this game. But they took a low of lows, losing to the Panthers, then climbing to unreachable highs, beating the division-leading Atlanta Falcons. Derek Carr, obviously having him back in the lineups, made a difference over the backups they were playing earlier. But looks like he's found a new best friend. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, the former Packer-in-Chief and new Saints deep threat, seemed to find some connection with Carr, and with Chris Olave on IR. It's perfect for MVS to step up and do his thing. With more defenses paying attention to the long ball of MVS, that should open up some tosses. Maybe the undrafted rookie out of Yale, Mason Tipton. I see this being a hard-fought game with two teams trying to bring some joy to a sad season. And I see the Saints keeping their winning streak going, Another plugged toilet, another win for Darren Rizzi. Saints win at home to move to 4 wins on the season. You have an AFC matchup with two teams trying to salvage the season. The 4-6 Indianapolis Colts go on the road to take on the 3-7 New York Jets. The visiting Colts have flip-flopped on quarterback again. Joe Flacco started the last 2 games, which both ended in losses. Head coach Shane Steichen said, we're switching it up back to Anthony Richardson. As pleaded by me on my Week 10 recap, I said, he's the future. Let's throw him out there. You sat him for giving up on his team for being tired, but that was a learning moment he moved on from. He's the franchise QB. Joe's making mistakes. Why not let the young guy go out there and make some mistakes? His ceiling is high. I mean, he can throw higher than the ceiling. So get him out there, get those reps. I know he might make some mistakes, but you got to hope the benching has kind of helped him, and hopefully it hits him this time around. I think he'll have a different mentality, but things won't be easy going against this Jets defense. And I know the Jets have faltered a bit. They look to perk themselves up against Houston, but then stunk it up in the desert against Arizona. I didn't see them playing that bad, but they'll be back at home. And I don't expect them to play as bad as they did in Arizona. There's still questions on whether Devontae Adams will play, and if he will, what kind of play will he get up to. But I think the Jets need to trust this running game more. Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, their numbers weren't great, but you look at the average per carry last game. Hall was averaging 5.2 a carry, and Allen was almost at 4 yards. So just trust the run a bit. Don't make Aaron Rodgers try to win it. I don't know. I don't think they're going to do that, though. I think they're going to try to make Aaron win it. It's going to backfire. I see the Colts, riding high with Anthony Richardson, taking the win, adding more sorrow to a Jets fan base while getting Indy back in the AFC South hunt. Big game coming up for the Colts this weekend. Got another interconference game on the slate. Two teams going in very different directions. You have the 7-2 Minnesota Vikings going on the road to take on the 2-7 Tennessee Titans. Now, despite the difference in record, this game could be closer than you think. The Vikings are rocking a 2-game winning streak, but they haven't looked particularly that great in these wins. Sam Darnold's gotten back on the turnover train, throwing 2 against the Colts, 3 against the Jaguars, and the Titans, they haven't wowed anybody this season, but their defense is pretty good, and they could force Darnold into more turnovers to keep keep this thing close. I mean, Darnold needs to look for Justin Jefferson, but not force it. All three of those picks against the Jaguars were when Darnold was looking for Jefferson. He's got to spread the wealth, get Aaron Jones in this game. He's questionable, but he's leaning towards playing. I know he's kind of been in and out of the lineup, but when he gets going, this defense is so much better. And TJ Hawkinson's healthy. We saw what he was connecting with Darnold last game. I think he's got to keep that up. Look for Hawkinson and Jones, and the Jeffersons will open up, hopefully. But we'll see what happens with them. Like I said, this Titans defense is good, and a lot of times it's coming down to the offense and quarterback play. Can Will Levis keep him in the game? I mean, he didn't have any interceptions last game, but as I mentioned in the recap, I never felt like the Titans were going to threaten to come back and win that game. But like I said, we'll see what happens in the next one. If they can get Tony Pollard going, if they can get that defense to create some Sam Darnold turnovers, this could be a close one. But I do have the Vikings vanquishing in Tennessee and leaving with a win. And it brings us to an NFC North matchup, one that I've enjoyed watching since I was a wee pup. One of the oldest rivalries in North American sports. You have the Green Bay Packers visiting the Chicago Bears. My 6-3 Packers coming off a much-needed bye week to try to get some rest for the second half of the season, pushed into the playoffs. Jordan Love, he's looking like that guy. He's got all the talent in the world. He seems to match with his receivers. The key to Love, for this Love anyway, is interceptions. Despite coming out of a bye week, Jordan Love still shares the NFL lead with picks this season. His 10 picks on the season have him tied with the before-mentioned Sam Darnold of Minnesota and Seattle's Geno Smith. And that could be trouble facing off with a Chicago Bear team that likes to produce turnovers. The Bears at 16 turnovers, fourth, sit tied for fifth in the NFL. Excuse me, the 4-5 Bears, with that combination of Love's interception tendencies with how good this defense is, that could really help them out. And the Bears, they're going in a whole new direction right now. They're changing things up. After another bad loss, their third in a row, they're switching things up. Matt Eberflus made a change, firing the offensive coordinator Shane Waldron, who was only in his first season running the offense in Chicago. Waldron was hired to replace Luke Getsy, who, if you were paying attention earlier, was dismissed by the Raiders. So now Eberflus is on his third offensive coordinator in 2.5 years. Usually a panic move of a coach that's about to get fired, so we'll see what happens there. But it's up to Thomas Brown now, getting the promotion from passing game coordinator to offensive coordinator. He's going to be calling the shots, and hopefully it'll be something to get Caleb Williams going, because the number one overall pick in the NFL draft, he's faltered the last few weeks. And this change in offense, maybe a different voice, some different leadership there can help get him back on the trajectory of the path they were hoping he'd be taking by now. But there's already been shit talk between the two teams. Not that you needed any, but best defensive free agent signing, I think, of the year, Packers' Xavier McKinney. He's already called out the work ethic of Bears' DJ Moore, so a little more gasoline in the fire of this rivalry. I'm expecting the Bears to play better and keep it close, and I think Jordan Love not throwing a late-game interception, but a late-game touchdown will be the difference. The Packers will win their 11th in a row against the Bears, which would set a record for the most consecutive wins against either team in this rivalry. No one has won more than that in one run. The longest streak right now is 10, which the Packers are tied with. So a lot of pressure on them to set this mark, and these two teams just hate each other, and I don't like nothing more than watching the Packers beat the Bears. So I'm looking forward to another win. But like I said, Caleb Williams will play better, just not enough to get a win against the Packers. I have the Packers winning this one, maybe a little more Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs involved, but either way, Packers are walking away with the win there. Now we go to two ferocious cat mascots who battle it out in Week 11 in another interconference matchup with two teams going in different directions again. You have the 2-8 Jacksonville Jaguars on their 3-game losing streak, going without quarterback Trevor Lawrence and sticking with Mac Jones, who will be getting his second start with the Jags. So I kind of question how much longer Doug Peterson will be coaching, and this will not help him going up against the 8-1 Detroit Lions in the Battle of Cats. And I think this is going to just add another nail in the coaching coffin for Peterson. The Lions, they've looked like one of the best teams in the NFL. Last week, they didn't even look that good. They had Jared Goff throw 5 interceptions, and they still won. That almost seems like, I hate to say it, a team of destiny. And they play so damn hard for head coach Dan Campbell every night. Jake Bates, the former brick seller, he's continuing to knock through every kick he's faced, but I don't think the Lions are going to rely on much kicking from Bates in this one, other than for extra points. I see Sonic and Knuckles taking off and running through that Jaguars defense. The connection of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, they're one of the best running tandems in the league. other than a quarterback running back duo I'll get to in a little bit. But I see them moving to 9-1, and I see Jacksonville moving closer to firing their coach. Call it a theme in Week 11, but another interconference matchup. Two teams coming off much different weeks. You have the 4-5 Los Angeles Rams flying cross country to take on the 3-7 New England Patriots. The Rams are kicking themselves for losing at home to the Dolphins, where they did everything but score a touchdown. They did a lot of kicking, actually, relying on kicks to get through that one. And it was only the second time in the Sean McVay era where the Rams failed to register a touchdown in the game. Team's getting healthier, and I see Matthew Stafford going to work on this Patriots defense. Look for a lot of Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp to have better games, maybe get paid hurt. But if they don't, look for Kieran Williams to get in the end zone, or even tight end Davis Allen, who is looking poised to start getting more involved in this lineup. For the Patriots, they dominated the number 1 overall pick in the Chicago Bears to the point where they fired their offensive coordinator. So the Patriots defense, they're doing all they can to help number 3 overall pick in the draft, Drake May. And I think he's going to make good plays. We've seen him do it with his legs, but he's going to watch out for fellow rookie Rams defensive end Jared Verse. He's really going to have Drake May running for his life. And in this battle of a Super Bowl 53 matchup, where obviously the rosters are significantly different than the 2018 season, I'm thinking it'll be a fun one, when I'm expecting the Rams to get back on winning ways and try to keep pace in the wild NFC West. And this is a game that many have said circled on the calendar. The first of these two games between divisional foes, the 7-3 Baltimore Ravens, heading into Steel Town to take on the division-leading Pittsburgh Steelers at 7-2. AFC North matchup is always a dandy. Both teams having 7 wins on the season already makes it a little spicier. The Ravens have won 2 in a row since that tough loss to the Browns, dismantling the Broncos, and then winning with the help of a 2-point conversion stop against the Cincinnati Bengals, which may have been helped by a few missed penalties, but I digress. These Ravens, they look like a Super Bowl-worthy team. They have former Pittsburgh Steeler Deontay Johnson suiting up for them after acquiring him from Carolina. But Pittsburgh's head coach Mike Tomlin has already said there's other players on this team that would attract more of his attention. A little slight on his receiver, but truth to it as well. You get the truth of Tomlin. But when Derrick Henry gets going and Lamar can get some yards with his feet, man, this offense opens up. Lamar Jackson, he's got to be the front runner for MVP. He has to. It's him. It's him. And that offensive player of the year, maybe Derrick Henry. So they got them both. And I think they're like I said, they're destined for Super Bowl maybe. But they're taking on a tough team here. Everything I've said about the Broncos, the Steelers are doing it this season. They're leading the division. They started with Justin Fields. They were winning. They lost a few games. They went to Russell Wilson. They're winning. Classic Steelers football. Good defense, good runs, timely plays by your quarterback. And it's all about the quarterback. And right now, Russell, last name Wilson, looks like the right guy. His late game heroics, flexing with that cadence pre-snap, helped clinch the Steelers' win over the Commanders last week. So it's going to be a nice barometer for the Steelers. Coming out of this game, we might have a new division leader. I'm really looking forward to this one. And like I said, this could be a game of the week kind of game. It's going to be a hard-fought battle, but I see the Ravens flying into Pittsburgh, picking up the win. And it's going to come down to Lamar Jackson using his legs to buy some time for finding Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews for a late touchdown. Ravens will win in Pittsburgh. Speaking of division rivals here, we head out to the NFC West for a big matchup. The 4-5 Seattle Seahawks, 5-4 San Francisco 49ers. Seahawks had lost 2 in a row going in their bye week, including that tough OT loss to the Rams. They're looking to get back in the winning ways, and it'll be a huge boost getting DK Metcalf back in the lineup. He's missed some time with that knee injury, so he'll be welcomed into the Seahawks' arms here. He's going to need a big game, as well as running backs Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. Once that running game gets going, it makes things so much easier for Geno Smith. And if they don't get it going, Geno Smith is going to continue that duel with J Love and Hey Darnold for the interception lead in the NFL divisional games. Are always feisty, especially with these two teams. San Fran won 2 in a row since losing to the Chiefs. They're getting healthier. It was good to see Christian McCaffrey back on the field, seeing CMC making some big plays. Jake Moody had some Moody kicks, all right, causing his wide receiver to choke his long snapper, but he hit the game winner, so we'll have to keep our eye on the kicking game in this one. But like most divisional games, this one's going to go down to the wire. Seattle, they're going to think they have it wrapped up, and then Geno's going to do something dumb. Game-crushing interception, setting up San Fran with another win, looking for the 49ers pull off their 3rd straight win in a row. Sound like a broken record here, but another juicy interconference matchup. This one features 2 teams coming off a tough loss in last week. 6-4 Falcons lost to the New Orleans Saints, which shocked everyone. while the 5-5 Denver Broncos were shocking people while lining up for a game-winning kick to beat the undefeated Chiefs, just to have more shock when Will Lutz's kick got blocked, which gave them a loss. I mean, there were talks that the terrific off-season signing Kirk Cousins would miss this game, but it sounded like he's going to be good to go. And the Falcons have playoff hopes and shouldn't lose to a team like the Saints. I mean, they could have won that game, but Younghoe Koo didn't help. I expect him to kick better. And the thing with Raheem Morris, great motivator. He's going to have this team ready to go. They're going to start early and put up some points, maybe even get that running game going, get some Algier and some Bijan Robinson runs, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. This Broncos team went toe-to-toe with the back-to-back Super Bowl champs, the Chiefs, and we're a blocked field goal away from winning. I think Bo Nix is going to learn from his bad second half against the Chiefs and play a better full four quarters in this one. It's going to come down to the wire, and I think whichever team has the better running game throughout the game is going to win. And I think Bo Nix's legs are going to be the difference in this one. I see the Broncos moving back above 500 and giving the Falcons their second straight loss in a row as they come to Mile High and get the L. Speaking of those undefeated Chiefs, they're sitting at 9-0 on the season. They take their perfect record in the Buffalo to take on the AFC East leading Buffalo Bills, who have an 8-2 record. This is a game many are predicting to be an AFC conference matchup in the playoffs and the game of the weekend, even though there's some battles for it. And we know the Chiefs eliminated the Bills in the divisional playoff game last year in the same location that this game will be played, in Buffalo. The Chiefs have not played up to their best yet. And as mentioned in my Week 10 recap, they're based on point differential. Historically, this 9-0 team is the worst in history. So if there's ever a chance for Buffalo to get a win over Mahomes, it's this weekend. Isaiah Pacheco, the running back, is still out for the Chiefs. It's getting closer, though. But I mean, Kareem Hunt's fit in pretty nicely there. DeAndre Hopkins, he's fitting really nice with Mahomes. I'm expecting that connection to get even better. And I could even see Mahomes and the offense putting up more points than what we've seen from them this season. But I see Josh Allen and the Bills putting up points right back at them. And this should be a barn burner, as they say. Lots of touchdowns. Fun ones, too. Mahomes, he's been an interception machine this season, except the last 2 weeks where he's been interception-free. While in the contrast, Josh Allen went all the way up to Week 8, going into Week 8 with no picks. Now he's been pick crazy. So whoever can control the picks on this one should be a little better. And there's going to be some interesting factors in this one. I mean, Taylor Swift's doing a bunch of shows in Toronto. Will she be in Buffalo? I don't think that's really going to impact the game here, but I think it's going to come down to Josh Allen, his late game decision making. If he doesn't throw it to the wrong team, the Bills are in good shape. And for the Bills defense, it's going to come down to something no one's been able to figure out. Third or fourth down with Patrick Mahomes scrambling and doing something funky fresh for a first down. But you know what? I said last week, I don't bet against the Chiefs, but you know what? We're going to do it this week. The streak ends now. Kansas City's franchise best 15-game winning streak, 9-0 unbeaten start to the season. Dunzo. Josh Allen will beat Mahomes. He'll feel great about it, but then he'll be like, all right, this is the regular season. There's bigger games to come, but they're going to be hype. There are going to be people jumping through tables. Buffalo's going to give KC their first loss of the season. After all those great games, I'll bring us to Sunday night, where you have 4-6 Cincinnati Bengals coming off that tough loss to the Ravens, go for 2 and ended up with a loss. They're going to LA to take on the 6-3 Chargers, where the Chargers I still haven't played up to their best, but they're rocking a 3-game winning streak. Harbaugh doing a great job there as they're looking to extend that to 4 games. But for the Bengals, I feel the urgency of where their record is. This is a bigger game for them. If they lose this one, getting to the playoffs is much harder, especially with how teams below them, like the Dolphins, they're really getting hot. And it kind of sucks for the Bengals, especially if you're a Bengals fan, because they've been playing some really good football. Burrow and Chase, man, they've been lights out. I expect that to continue against the Chargers. And I think this is where the Chargers winning streak ends. I think the Bengals are going to beat them. The Chargers have been prone for settling for field goals instead of touchdowns, and you can't do that against a team like the Bengals. And that's why the Bengals are going to go into La La Land and check out with a W. Chargers are going to get closer to 500 with the loss. And I think, like I said, the inability to end red zone possessions with touchdowns will have the Chargers losing. And how do we wrap up Week 11? Well, we go to Monday night, where you guessed it, another interconference battle. The Texas bragging rights on the line. You have the AFC South leading Houston Texans and their 6-4 record going in the Big D, which might stand for dysfunctional now, but it is Dallas, where the Cowboys are 3-6, losers of 4 in a row, and looking for any kind of spark to get them back in the winning column. I mean, considering the late Monday night start, the sun shining through the window should not affect the wide receivers. Jerry will not have to resort to pulling curtains out, which he is very against, by the way. The Texans have lost 2 straight. They're getting some healthy bodies back. Main one, Nico Collins, who was a receiving yards, who's leading the league in receiving yards before his injury, is back from the IR. He's set to be good to go. He adds a whole nother dimension to this offense. This makes Tank Dell more open. This makes Canadian John Mechie the third, who got his first career NFL touchdown last week. They just become more open. Look for Schultz, Dalton Schultz. Plus Joe Mixon, he's got to have a bounce back game. Detroit kind of ate him up last week. And I think the Cowboys, they're sticking with Cooper Rush going to week 11. We don't know how long that quarterback leash will be from McCarthy until Trey Lance gets in the mix. But the Cowboys are in trouble. The fans are unhappy. The players are unhappy. And you bet Jerry Jones is not happy. So I see the Cowboys keeping it close early, but like they have a lot of games, they're going to face some adversity, and they're going to fucking throw it in. The Texans are going to win. Bounce back game for CJ Stroud, where he looks like last year's CJ Stroud. Texans win the Battle of Texas, and more heartbreak for the Cowboys. There you have it, Week 11 picks, NFL, just in time before the Thursday night matchup. I hope I'm right. I hope I'm better than 8-6. But thanks for tuning in. It's all uphill from here. Ren City out.